Hello everyone, I'm Brian. Today I'm reacting to Who is the Mind Talking to? Advaita Vedanta Philosophy. Advaita. I don't know if I said that correct. I don't think I did. Advaita. That sounds more like I was saying it in Spanish. Anyways, this was a request. I do request. If you have a request, please leave the title, the channel, and the length. That way I can search for it. If you put the length of the video, YouTube might put it for held for review and I won't see it. So anyways, that is actually an interesting question. Who is the mind talking to? I mean, it's kind of like whenever you think to yourself and then you answer to yourself. I've heard people say, it's okay to ask questions in your mind, but if you answer those questions, there might be something to worry about. Which then I would be in trouble because I answer myself all the time. I think of questions and I answer my own questions. So who is the mind talking to? It's kind of like in my opinion, I don't know if he's going with this, but kind of like how you talk out loud to come up with ideas. In the same sense, where when you're talking in your mind, you present questions and then you start thinking about it and you start answering it in your mind to develop your own answer or your own theories or to destroy or reinforce your own beliefs or thoughts. Anyway, let's go ahead and get started.
The mind is being witnessed. See, you are just the pure witnessing of all that arises and subsides, not just including mind, but all experiences, what you call life, just a bundle of sensations, images, emotions, thoughts, perceptions, arising in awareness and then subsiding, coming and going, of which essentially you are just the pure witness. If this is not your experience right now, then to go deeper into this teaching, you must just first assume or look at it like a hypothesis where you're testing out this teaching. So for now, assume that I am simply the witness. So when mind is happening, when thoughts are arising, there is no entity that they are speaking to. You see? There's nobody behind mind that is a solid physical entity. This is what you generally assume as you live life. That mind is talking to me, and you don't really know what you are, but you consider me to be an actual entity that knows mind and body and experiences. And that is what we're investigating. The witness, right? The witnessing that is happening, that you essentially are, it has no form. It has no shape. It is not an entity, an individual separate self. It is not that. So for now, just assume this, right? And then test it out. The witnessing is spontaneous. It is effortless. It is just happening. Why do I say that? Because a thought arises and automatically it is known. You are aware of the thought. So mind may say all sorts of things, right? Whatever the mind is saying, there's often a sense that, okay, mind is saying this, and then there's a responder to mind. There's like somebody interpreting the mind, seeing what the mind has to say, and then thinking something else. This is the entity that we're investigating, because this one does not exist. So when mind arises, ask yourself, who is it that the mind is talking to? There is no entity there. Every single time you ask yourself this question, who is the mind talking to? All you come to is just the witnessing of mind.
I'm thinking of an example. I can't think and listen at the same time. At least one of the things is going to be lacking, either the thinking or the listening portion, or both actually. So I'm trying to think of an example. I know I've come up before and said that I believe in a duality world, and this portion of who I am, who the I is, in terms of non-duality, it's pure consciousness. Your mind is not that. Your mind is not the I. But in my perspective of duality, it is the brain is not like one piece. So it's not like the nail. It's one complete piece. You touch any part of the nail, you feel it in those individual parts. Or just say the arm. You touch any part of your arm, you can feel it. It's all connected in a sense. You can chop off bits and pieces, obviously. But assume it's one whole piece. Well, I guess I need to raise it up a little bit. One whole piece. But in my mind, the mind is like the different pieces of the arm. I forgot what you call this. The bicep, tricep, quadricep. I don't know. This part of the arm, the forearm, and the hand, and then the fingers. The fingers. So you chop off this piece, you still have the different parts of the arm that works. You're just missing the pointer finger. And my example would be, if, for example, say this part controls that, this controls all this part. Let me rephrase that. If this was in fact the mind, so this part of your arm would control some parts of your body. This part of your arm will control your emotions. This part of your hand will control your your body temperature, we'll say that. This one controls your happy emotions, this one your sad emotions, this one your confused emotions, I don't know, and this one your poops, I don't know. But this one is your thought. Everything that you say this will answer, or I'm sorry, anytime you have a thought, this answers it. So every different aspect of your mind is all separate at this point. Each of them controls different aspects of your body, but this is where thought comes from. This is where not thought comes from, but this is what answers the thought. So you could say maybe this portion of the finger is the thoughts, and then this portion is the answering of the thoughts. So anytime a thought comes in here, this answers it. Anytime it comes here, this answers it. And I can agree with Swami about what you experience cannot be you, to a lot of degrees actually. I don't know if completely necessarily, because this portion of the answering is because it's the thing that answers. You cannot see it like Swami's talking about, but you can see the thought that comes in, answers, thought, answers, thought, answers. Now some people say because it's part of the mind, it cannot be you. But the whole point I was trying to make is the fact that because you cannot, it's the same point that Swami was talking about. There's nothing behind the witness, which I do agree, because this is the answering. There's nothing before the answer, I guess. So question, answer, question, answer. There's nothing before the answer. I don't know how to explain that part, but I hope you understand what I'm saying. But basically, anytime there's a thought, there's a question, there's whatever, this is the part that answers. You cannot see the answer until a question is brought forth, then the answer comes up. Laugh, emotions, body control, breathing, whatever, autonomous control functionalities. You know, when you go to sleep, you breathe. You know, you don't stop breathing when you go to sleep. But this portion of the mind answers. This portion right here is the thought, questions, everything, your thoughts. This is the answering. And that's my belief. I say belief, keyword there, because I don't have a way of proving that, but it kind of follows the same rationale maybe as Swami, because I do agree with a lot of what he says, but I just don't believe in the separation of it. I don't believe this portion to be separate from the mind. or the brain. Maybe hold up the fingers correctly there. So that's the only difference between so far between the belief, my beliefs, and what Swami is not the non-duality. Duality and non-duality. So duality is the fact that the brain is the thought process, the I is attached to the brain, like frontal cortex or something like that. So anyway, that's me right there.
Or you just come to you looking, but you see no entity, you see nothing to be found there. But again, when mind arises, it has this intimate quality that it is speaking to you. And the one that you say, oh, I just want to be free of mind, I just want to let mind go, and I just want to stop this battle of mind.
And let me go a little bit further. So in that portion, nothing is there other than to answer thoughts. This is the thoughts, this is the questions, this is what fixes, not fixes, but emotions go there. Whenever you have the emotion of happiness or sadness, clearly your body changes, and that interferes with your thoughts. Like, oh, I'm feeling sad, I'm feeling happy. Thoughts, thoughts, thoughts. Answer, answer, answer. If there's no thoughts, there's no answer, there's nothing. There's the void. That's my belief.
You have to catch even this one. Because what is this one that suffers the mind? What is this one that claims that I want to be free of mind? Who are your thoughts speaking to? Who has so much interest in these thoughts? Does the witnessing have anything to say about the thoughts, or is it just the witnessing of whatever is arising and subsiding? Does the witnessing have any motive? Does it have any desire or resistance of its own? Or are all of these arising and subsiding in the witnessing? So this one is subtle. You must catch it. The one that claims to want to be free of this mental battle and want to be free of mind is also just mind. Who is mind talking to? Mind is talking to itself.
Yeah, I like that. I like that. The one that's claiming I want to be free is in fact the mind itself as well, not the true you. Again, so I do understand the duality, non-duality. I'm sorry, non-duality perspective. I completely understand it. Again, the only difference to me is whether that the Turiya, the Brahman, the pure consciousness, whether it be separate from you or that peace, is the only difference in terms of, I guess, my belief on duality, non-duality.
And right now, because this is a much more subtle layer of mind, which is very, very close to consciousness, very, very mixed to consciousness, you take it to be yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Because you see this feeling of I, this feeling of me, this feeling of identity, this feeling of awakeness, aliveness, is consciousness. And this very, very subtle layer of mind, which also says I, it borrows its existence from that sense of true identity, consciousness.
Kind of like saying, I feel sad, I feel happy, I am hungry, I am full. All that you think of I as in the one that's the one that experiences it, not experience, but the one that is hungry, the one that is happy, the one that is sad. But in reality, in terms of non-duality, it is what experience happiness. It is what experience is the one that. Hold on. In non-duality, you see your body experiencing hunger, happiness, fullness, and sadness. But the I is not experiencing. It's witnessing all of this, but it's untainted by it. It is not influenced by it. The body, the physical body of who you are, it experiences all of that. Emotions and hunger and physical, emotional, stress, happiness, sadness, all of that is experienced by the body. And I guess the confusion lies whenever you say, I am hungry, I am thirsty, when in reality it's this body is hungry, this body is thirsty, but I myself is unchanging and is unaffected by all of this.
This one is the I thought. And because it is so subtle, it's really mixed with consciousness itself. Separate, but while uninvestigated, it seems very, very mixed. That is why it has such great control. And this is what we call mind identification. So you must see this for yourself. You must catch this one in your looking, in your pure witnessing. You go into the inquiry with the hypothesis, the assumption that I am just the pure witnessing. You see, the witnessing doesn't have anything to say. It doesn't have any judgments. It doesn't have any resistance. It is simply just the witnessing, the awareness of whatever it is. So when thought arises and there's almost like a dialogue going on, you must inquire, you must ask yourself, who is it that the mind is talking to? And see for yourself that there is no entity there that the mind is talking to. It is just thoughts arising, talking to other thoughts. We're talking to this sense of self-thought, this I thought, which is what we call ego. But this one has no actual existence. It is not an actual entity. It is just another thought. It's just a much more subtler thought, you can say. And so this inquiry will bring you to this level of subtlety where you see this in your pure witnessing. The witnessing doesn't want to do anything about it. It doesn't have to do anything about it. Just by seeing this, you will come to understand. And in understanding, all that is not you starts to fall away. All of this stuff can only continue to operate through you if there's an unconscious identification with it. So in just pure witnessing, all of this stuff starts to fall away. You begin to catch this one. You start to catch that even the one that claims that, oh, I want to be free of thought and that these thoughts are talking to me, the one that claims to be thinking all these thoughts is itself a mental layer that is just in the witnessing. And you are the witnessing prior to that. This is the beauty of inquiry, that right here, right now, it allows you to see the depth to your own being. It allows you to remove layers and layers and layers of the false ideas, the false selves. You see, because the ego is not just, so it wears many different suits. Sometimes it's feeling this way, sometimes it's projecting this, that. So it's multiple selves. Are you really all these selves? Or is the self one, stable? Is it changeful or is it changeless? See this for yourself. Just be the pure witnessing. Not just in the 20 minutes of inquiry that you may do per day, but also throughout the day. Again and again, see yourself as just the witnessing, and all that is not you will be unmixed from your being. And you will stand much more established in what you really are. Thank you for watching this video. Now, here are a couple of ways that I can be of direct help to you right now. Okay, and I'm going to link everything that I mentioned right now in the description box below. So number one is you can join our free.
Okay, I will definitely leave a... Here, let's see what he says. I'll definitely link this video in my description just in case you want to go check that stuff out. But yes, again, I do understand that. And I guess the only I don't feel like I'm like so resistant or anything like that, but it's just the way I am. It's not necessarily that. Again, the point, I've said this before, is that it's very difficult for me to believe in something that's immaterial. Just in case you're the first time watching me talk about this. That's why I repeat myself a lot in other videos, because sometimes there's new viewers and sometimes you may not watch the video where I explain this. So anyway, so immaterial. So we can all agree that this is a pen. For the most part, most people can see that this is a pen. I mean, click, there we go. It has the clicky functionality too. I like the clicker pens. Anyway, so this is a pen. We can agree this is a pen. Some people might say this is not a pen. I mean, you know, maybe it's not. Looks like it in a way. So most people can agree this is a pen. You can look at it and it's a pen. If I could hand it to you, you'd write with it and say, yeah, maybe it's a pen. But then I go and do this. This is a pen. Right here. A pen. Do you believe me? It's a pen. You can experience it. Here, I hand it to you, and so in that aspect, it's very difficult for me. I know some people say you can experience Brahman, Turiya, Atman, but the problem lies with also what Sadhguru said, that our senses is kind of faulty in a sense. It's not to say that, you know, we see things. I mean, sometimes we do. Or feel things that are not really there. You know, our senses sometimes kind of play tricks on us because it's all electrical signals for the most part. So, like in the corner of your eye, sometimes you thought you saw a person, but when you look over there, it's not. It's just a shadow, because our peripheral visions aren't that great. They're more for movement and not necessarily for fine detail. Sometimes your hair gets tangled, and whenever you a gust of wind blows, it untangles. You're like, oh, something touched me. So it's like it's your false sense of what actually happened. But then it also goes with your mind. Sometimes your mind plays tricks with you. Sometimes your minds are faulty. So by practicing the removal of thoughts in your mind, it's still using your mind to experience something. And that is still using our in a sense, our senses. So that could be faulty in itself. But I'm guessing the rationale behind that is the sheer fact that everyone can do this and everyone can experience the same thing. Which I do not disagree, honestly. I'm pretty sure that everyone who does it, who can literally think of nothing, will have this void, this blankness. And I can agree with whenever they see who this I is, to see what's there, they will experience nothing as well. Voidness, blackness. I can agree with that. The only thing, I guess, for me that so far I will stick with, I have obviously no way of proving it, but it's just that it doesn't have to be separate from the mind. Like I said earlier about this portion of the mind is what answers the thoughts. If there are no thoughts, it is nothing, it's blank, it's not being used. Thoughts come in here, it gets answered. Thoughts come in here, it gets answered, kind of deal. So that's my rationale behind it. I don't have any proof behind that. I'm not a neuroscientist or anything like that. I'm just a common person. But nonetheless, I continue to listen because maybe one of these days it will click. I'll be like, oh, I actually experienced that, and I am more of a believer now. I say believer because I don't know, because believer to me makes it sound like I'm just believing in it with no rationale behind it. But it would be, for me to believe in something, there has to be some rationale behind it, some proof of it. Not necessarily has to be 100% proof, but it's like, it does seem to lean that way. I believe it. Again, the difference between believing it 100% to be fact or not believing it at all. I always start in the middle saying I don't know. If things that I experience in life moves my belief more towards the I believe it to be fact or I believe it, it'll move me that way. I will never be at the end saying that it's 100% fact. I'll be at about 99.99% because there will always be doubt in my mind, I think. seems kind of terrible to always have doubt, but I'll always be there because I'm always open to maybe someone can disprove it. That's the reason why it's 99.9%. If it's 100%, that means my mind cannot be changed at all. It is 100% fact and true no matter what anyone else says. So 99.99% is about the furthest I can go before I become close-minded to whatever that is I am believing. That's why I'm not always there. So if I'm just a little bit here, it's like, okay, I can see it. It seems very plausible. I kind of believe in it. I'm not 100% believing in it, but I mean, it seems very plausible. Or if I'm this way, I'm like, not really. I don't think that's actually true. I've experienced many things that actually disproves that, so that's why I don't really believe it. So that's what my factors go between I don't know, where I have no knowledge or experience with it, to whether I do and affirm it, or I do have experience it and not affirm it. Okay, I gone on too long. That's my reaction to Who Is the Mind Talking To. If you like my content, please consider subscribing. Thumbs up, thumbs down below. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next vid.